on this computer as well. And I'm going to share my screen here. Could everyone see the screen pretty well?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, hello everyone. I'm going to talk just basically a little bit about our marketing platform, what we've been doing over the last couple of years. Just a little bit of background about the business before we begin. I started Premier Chess in July of 2017. I personally actually taught chess since I was 12. Some of the people here, like Steve and Adia and Terrell, I've known for, over 10, 15 years, through playing and teaching chess. And, really, I decided to take my chess teaching skills, as well as the enterprise business and marketing skills that I developed. I was actually, for those of you who don't know, an enterprise sales rep at Oracle for 3 years, and Rapid7, a data security firm, for 1 year. So that's why I was able to really quick get the ground running. In the first 2 months of the business, before September 2017, we were in 14 schools and we had 10 instructors working for us. So we kind of hit the ground running extremely quickly. And now we serve over 80 schools. We work with the law firm Kramer Levin. This month, we're actually starting a new contract with Google. We're doing quite a different bit of stuff. And here's a little bit more about it. So for one, I wanted to quickly, actually I should click here from beginning. Can you still see the screen pretty well?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I transitioned properly. So a little bit of inspiration. This is one line my business coach, Richard Pierce, said a couple of weeks ago. It is not the economy, it is your economy. COVID is obviously a very difficult time for a lot of businesses. In March, a lot of our schools shut down. A lot of other schools weren't working. I've had a lot of parents that I was talking to saying, oh, you should introduce me to your kid's school. They're like, no, they're not doing anything with COVID. But honestly, we're starting a lot of new school programs now virtually, including one that starts tomorrow, in a very, very poor school in Brownsville, a middle school program. So it's everything is under your control. My good friend also, Michael Deutsch of Hands on Hoop Skills, often says, right, control the controllables. So here's our 7 pillars of marketing and what we've been doing. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, blog, Twitch, podcast, and our newsletter. By the way, we'll have a Q&A at the end, but if anyone does have questions, in the meantime, certainly let me know. Audrey, maybe you could monitor the chat a little bit, just in case people have questions.
Yeah, okay. I'm happy to do that. Does everyone put their thing on mute because I hear a little background noise, or is that having just feedback from this Facebook Live?
I don't think the Facebook Live should have any background noise.
Okay.
I'm not hearing any background noise over here. It sounds pretty good.
Does anyone know why I have 80-20 up here? Does anyone have any guesses?
Yeah, 80% of your work. I don't know. It's a rule, but I don't remember.
So that is a common rule, actually, right? 80% of your work comes from 20% clients. I have heard that rule actually before. But in terms of marketing, does anyone have any ideas?
80%.
Because in all of our platforms, this is something I abide by like crazy.
Because of repeat business and trust factors, things like that.
Interesting. Just could be. Okay, I'll give you a hint in terms of content. Marketing content. What is the 80?
Only 20% business, 80% other engaging conversations.
Mike is pretty much on point, of course, from the content guy, right? 80% of your posts on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, blog, etc., should actually be value. So I actually have a friend who is a car sales rep in Pennsylvania. And when she first started her Facebook page, like 2-3 years ago, I remember every single post that she had was a picture of her and her manager and their client selling the car. And, I actually told her, I was like, look, I'm a friend. I'll like your stuff and I'll share your stuff. All of you, for the most part, know me, right? You all know that I'm like instantly sharing stuff. That's just like in my blood. And we'll talk more about that later. But, people that are, not fans, right? They're not necessarily just going to, absolutely, run to see your page, right? If it's all just like marketing posts. So actually 80% of your posts should be some sort of educational content, right? We are all actually subject matters experts in our field, right? So you go to the Premier Chess page and every morning at 8 a.m., you will see that there is a puzzle, right? So now I get, guess what? Other chess people and non-chess people coming to my page in the morning, right? Because they know that there's a puzzle, not because they like me or Premier Chess, but they're coming because they know that there's a puzzle. So we'll talk more about like the Facebook page in particular later. But yeah, 80% of your posts should be actual content, and 20% of your posts should be photos, other types of marketing. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Oh, okay. So next biggest thing is stay relevant. Of course, I'm sure all of you know Queen's Gambit has been absolutely massive, for chess with 62 million households seeing it. We have personally been seeing at least 20 plus inquiries a day from companies. We're actually now working with DraftKings. We also just signed a big contract with Berkshire Hathaway. Both of those were inbound leads directly because of the Queen's Gambit. We were also quoted by Dylan McLean in the New York Times article recently. So yeah, really important, stay relevant, keep going, with the current news, in your field and ride the wave, as much as you can. Right after Queen's Gambit, I saw it, very quickly, wrote this really, really cool blog post, on our blog. And again, we'll talk more about blogging in a little bit. But yeah, like every single thing that happens, in your industry, share it as much as possible. Ride the wave because, it's not going to be forever, but yeah, like totally ride it. Okay, so now Facebook. Here on the left, of course, you can see our business page. So yeah, here are some, kind of general suggestions. Right now, we have 8,962 likes on the page and growing. And there's a lot of ways that, it's actually helped us. We got inquiries every day, pretty much on Facebook. Several of the kids in our winter group classes, plus all of our camps have come directly through Facebook. And one of the biggest ways that we do that is having a regular schedule. So I already told you, every day at 7 or 8 a.m., we have a puzzle. Every day at 12 to 1 o'clock, we have a chess pedagogy insight, which could be a variety of things. It could be something that myself or one of our instructors, by the way, for those of you that don't know, we do have 48 instructors that, work with us, plus a lot of other partners, that do stuff, from the time every now and then. Yeah, right. So if they have an idea from when they're teaching, put it on there, right? So, for instance, the other day, I was talking to a student about confidence, right? So I posted on there. And then in the evening, that's when I'll do some sort of marketing post. I also share a lot of news on there. So, one thing that I honestly laughed at a couple times, before speaking to other entrepreneurs, is I say, oh no, you really got to get on Facebook. And they're like, no, I have a page. And then I go to it and they haven't posted in 3 weeks or 4 weeks or 5 weeks or longer, right? It's not like a check the box thing. Oh, I have a page, but it's, you have it and post at the very least once a day, ideally more. One of my good friends, actually, Joel Dunn, in one of my other networking groups, is also a social media person. And, I actually asked him, I was like, look, how much is too much, on anything, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. Honestly, as long as it's good, valuable information, you can do as much as you want. So another thing I do is I post and then I share in a bunch of groups. Yes, occasionally, like, administrators of groups will, kick you out. I've had that happen to me. Great. But yeah, look, I post, and I'll share in, some chess groups. I'll share in children's groups. We also do a lot of, adult classes. So I'm in a bunch of adult groups. Recently, we developed our seniors class. We're in a bunch of seniors groups. Very easy, free way to get yourself out there. Ads, of course, are good. I personally do occasionally, mainly because I see others. The last thing is nag your friends, colleagues, and family. Might sound kind of like funny or annoying. I know a lot of entrepreneurs that I've spoken to, just feel a little funny, using your, friends and family as leverage. But I don't see it as leverage. I see it as you're an entrepreneur. It's almost their duty as a good friend to help you.
Okay, and Annette had a question too. She wanted to know if the algorithm on Facebook, Instagram algorithm, they say you have to post once a day. Is it the same for Facebook? Do you know?
I can't say 100% about the algorithm, but I could definitely say you should post at least once a day. That's for sure. Look, it's the type of thing that can't hurt, and also you want it to be regular, right? I know that now that I've developed a community of almost 9,000 people, I actually have people coming, every day, right? I see the same people commenting over and over and over again, and it's a huge community. For those of you that, may have been, a little bit more active on our Facebook page by chance, you might know a guy, Ray Martinez, for instance. He's a chess teacher down in Brownsville, Texas. I've never met him in person before, which to me is like crazy because we've developed so much, we've talked so much, but almost like every single day he's posting on there. And I've actually had friends come up to me being like, who is this Ray Martinez guy? I'm like, oh, I never met him before in person, right? So that's how you're gonna build the community. So let's go into Instagram. So yeah, right now we're not as big on Instagram as Facebook, as you can see. We have about 2,000 followers now, but we're growing. We also started it a lot more recently. Actually, the Premier Chess Facebook page was actually a thing before I actually really launched Premier Chess. At first, it was more of like a individual teaching company. Actually, when I started my other company, which I no longer have equity in, Pillar Sales, which does sales for startups. So definitely use, a lot of leverage, that as well. But yeah, a couple of quick ideas. One, follow everyone. It can't hurt. Anyone who likes one of your posts, follow them. You could go to, other chess related organizations for me, right? So like my good friend Shelby Lorman runs American Chess Equipment, and we actually very openly, right? Like I'll go to American Chess Equipment, follow them, vice versa. We're good friends that way. One thing that I actually got from my friend Sarah in one of my other networking groups, my Astoria networking group, was that there should be about 10 to 20 hashtags per post. I don't know if this is completely true. Shiley is a social media guru and could maybe chime in a little bit, but
sure.
That's about average, and that's what it should be.
You can use up to 30. I always use 30. There might be some other Instagram people and coaches that say otherwise, but I've had a client just 2 weeks ago. I use a system to help vet hashtags, and she ended up getting likes by like 2 people that had massive followings on Instagram within minutes of her posting one of her earliest posts. So hashtags are everything. There's a little bit of a strategy to hashtag research. If anyone wants to know more, Evan, if you want to find out more, I'm happy to share.
Can I just ask you a question, Shiley, about, do you just make up your own hashtags or there's certain hashtags you need to use? That's the
there's a few people that talk about like a different mix. Like someone the other day was like, you want big ones, a little bit of medium ones and small ones, but you want to look for ones at basic, the ones that aren't too popular, but popular enough. And the idea is that you're going to get ranked as one of the top posts. And it's a lot easier to do that with a hashtag that has like 50,000 or 100,000 than it is one that has like 10 billion posts.
Okay, that's great. Okay, thank you. We'll have
Yeah,
to
so,
come back
and the biggest thing that I've seen as well, and yeah, by the way, well, this is actually later in the presentation, but yeah, I mean, Charlie really is incredible at what she does. Yeah, you want to pick ones that don't have like under 100 uses before, because those aren't going to be seen. But then you also don't want to use things like New York, you know, that has like 3 million, right? You want to use something like, you know, for instance, you know, the photo on the left, this is one that I took as a screenshot yesterday of one of our new programs at the Yeshiva of Flatbush, right? I used Yeshiva of Flatbush because there was actually like 1,000 hits beforehand, right? So there are actually parents that are going to look for, yeah, Yeshiva of Flatbush. Okay. So yeah, next thing, right? Tag as many people as you can in every post. Okay, when I posted this thing yesterday, right, my initial reaction is, yeah, post, you know, obviously tag Yeshiva of Flatbush. My instructor, Phil Rosenberg, is also our director of school programs. Right, but then I'm like, no, we're also going to tag Zoom, right? Because yeah, I would love to, you know, see Zoom people looking at it. And then of course, connect your Instagram to Facebook, so everything, you know, all your Instagram posts go directly to Facebook. All right, so LinkedIn. One post at least once a day. Again, all valuable content. Create a business page if you haven't already. Of course, you can see on the left here, you know, we have our Premier Chess page. Like, comment, and share on posts, not just yours, but, you know, obviously others. And one way to help do that actually is to build a support system. So I actually recently joined a Thriver 360 mastermind group, which is run by my good friend, Joe Rojas, excellent business coach. And, you know, one thing that, you know, we started actually doing is like just basically building a support system, right? So every single time, you know, we see a post that one of us creates, you know, we at the very least like it. And by the way, from a simple like, that helps a lot, right? Once Steve Colding likes one of my posts, all of his connections see it, you know, or anyone else, right? It's just Steve is one person on my screen right now. So it's massive, you know. Then if you comment and share on it, that's even more. And another tip I actually just learned a couple of weeks ago was you actually shouldn't edit the post after you created it, at least until it gets a big following, because it actually messes up the algorithm. This guy that I know, Al Tepper, actually is a LinkedIn expert, and he shared that a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, make sure when you post something, you know, you don't edit it right away, because that'll actually mess things up.
We lost you. So
do you hear me now?
Another thing you just learned was.
Is this
Another
better?
thing you wanted us to know was.
I think.
Do you hear me now?
Again.
Okay. Do you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So basically, yeah, when you write a post, don't edit it because it'll remove the algorithm. So make sure it's good before you actually post it.
Oh, wow.
Right, so next thing, blog. So yeah, blog at least once per week. I personally write a post now pretty much once a week. I don't right now. I did have a couple of social media interns, you know, doing blogging. But yeah, obviously, like I said before, 80-20 rule, keep them relevant. Yes, I'll occasionally announce a new class, but you know, as you can see, the post I wrote yesterday was about 11 chess books for improvement, right? This is the type of thing that people will share, not because they like me, but because it's actual valuable content, right? This is the type of thing even other chess teachers will share, right? That's why other chess teachers are here, you know, 11 chess books, right? And guess what? I guarantee you, if Steve wrote a post, or Terrell or Adia, right, any of the other chess teachers here, right, they would write probably maybe 2 or 3 of the same books, because some of them are, you know, pretty common for chess education. But I guarantee you, like at least 7 of them would be different, right? So it's valuable, you know, information. We certainly share our posts and everything else, you know, in our newsletter, which we'll talk more about in a little bit. We drive traffic directly to our website. Last year, we did actually have an operations manager for a few months. And, you know, one thing that he noticed was I had a blog, but I actually kind of rebranded it and repurposed it from a personal blog that I had like back in college. And he actually migrated everything to the website, right? So now when I bring people to, you know, the blog, you know, it's to the website. Vary up the content. You know, we have obviously like our corporate clients, our school programs, private, virtual group classes. So we really do need something for everyone. But that's, I would say, true for, you know, a lot of people. You know, Annette, right? You're a graphic designer, but you work with a bunch of different industries, right? You want things that will, you know, be good for law firms to read, and you want things that will be good for, you know, other, you know, growing entrepreneurs like us, you know, to read. One easy way to do that is a lot of guest blog posts. A couple people here actually have written guest blog posts, Audrey and Sam, potentially some others. It's a great way to, you know, get extra content. By the way, they don't need to be subject matters of your field. I've actually asked a lot of people to write guest blog posts, you know, out of them. You know, look, Audrey just a couple of weeks ago was like, "Oh, I'm not a chess player." Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, "No, you can put something together." Well, guess what? It's actually like one of our more well-read posts about chess and financial planning. Very, very similar with Sam. You know, chess and title insurance. You don't necessarily see them together, but actually it's all together, right? You're, you know, protecting your future, right? You're planning ahead, which is, yeah, like absolutely, you know, critical. Computer went to sleep.
How do you come up with all this content all the time? I mean, it's not something that I want to be doing. I want to be either do my work or creating my artwork. Like, I don't want to be doing all of this content constantly. So that is really my issue with this. Like, I get really frustrated and I don't want to be doing this. It's not what I want to be doing.
So yeah, I totally understand that. You know, I think a lot of it, sorry, my computer went to sleep.
And also, sorry if I'm interrupting your thought. We can talk about that after. But like,
no worries,
you know.
no worries. So, yeah, I'm just gonna answer it like really quick, which is, you know, look, one, they don't have to take a long time. You know, most posts I write take, you know, 20 minutes. The one about books,
that's you.
Research, you know, that took maybe an hour and a half yesterday morning, and I enjoyed it. Right. And by the way, like, honestly, part of the reason I did it was like, to have like, yeah, very good content, but it was also like, I mean, I was curious, right? And it was actually inspired, by the way, from last week, you know, when one of my, or 2 weeks ago, when one of my students in the adult intermediate class that we have, you know, actually asked me, you know, hey, like, what are some book suggestions? You know, and I was just like, wait a minute, like, I could answer it now. But like, I'm just gonna give you like the top notch, right? I actually want to go to my bookshelf and like see. But like number 2, that's actually good value. So, but
like,
the second,
I did it. Yeah.
Yeah, but the other answer is,
you know.
One of the things that another business coach that I'm friends with, Brian, likes to talk about, Brian Winston, is, look, all the things that you don't want to do, there's someone for. Right. So, Annette, right, maybe it does make sense to hire a copywriter for a blog post a month. Right. There's a lot of them.
I love that.
My friend Andre Harding, a great one. Right. Who's also, by the way, a great referral partner for you.
Right.
So,
I mean, yes. Yeah, I understand that. But the social media people that I've come across, the ask of money per month is so high that I can't even consider it.
Well, there's all different levels. I can put you in touch with very expensive, and I can put you in touch with cheaper. So, not a problem. And by the way, there's also, like, honestly, it doesn't even have to. I mean, someone like Andre would get annoyed that I would say something like this, but there's also high school students and college students. You know, some of my best blog posts this summer, you know, were from my interns. So
I need
yeah,
an
absolutely.
intern. I need an intern.
So
Robin.
anyway, right, the last big thing is use
sorry.
as many links as photos as possible. Right? Sometimes I find things that are like a little bit funny, but like if I write United States, okay, I will type us.gov as a link. Right? It's an easy way to build your SEO. You know, if I write every country, every noun could be a link basically in your blog posts. And that actually boosts traffic to your website. People start looking for the
really?
USA, all of a sudden they're at the Premier Chess page, right? And that's especially important for many of us, right? Like, you know, like Robert, for instance, right? You're in real estate. You don't have necessarily a target market, you know, per se, right? So people that are looking for, you know, chess, right? Guess what? You want them seeing your real estate services or other, I mean, most of us actually.
I agree, and just if I can chime in, what Annette said, what I found, and I'm not always successful, but the things you really avoid and don't want to do, if you have a schedule, you say like an hour, I'm going to do social media, and you focus on just that, it makes it a little more palatable, it makes it a little easier to do, and you just stay to that schedule and you do it, you know, whatever your work is. You know,
yeah, and I will say, Robert, I mean, that's also just like a general business tip, you know, outside of marketing, just put things in your calendar. You know, I remember when I was at Oracle, you know, we put in blocks in our calendar for cold calls. We put in blocks in our calendar for sending out emails, for putting out blog posts, everything.
I agree. You know, human nature, we avoid the things that we build up in our heads that we don't want to do. So whatever it is, the chores or, you know, cleaning out the garage or, you know, cleaning the house, you know, if you set, you know, for an hour, you know, and the chore becomes, you know, this greater than life thing rather than just sitting down and doing it, you know, day by day. And once you start doing it, maybe you won't hate it as much or, you know, and like what Mike Moreno said, you know, do what you do best and outsource the rest, you know, so.
Exactly.
Well,
So, okay, so moving on to our newsletter, you can see it here on the left. You know, one, always grow your email list. And there's many ways to do that. You know, biggest thing, add value. Add value. You know, yesterday I was talking to a parent who reached out via Google, you know, called me on the phone. You know, guess what? I wanted her email address. So, you know, what do? I don't just say like, hey, like, you know, can I have your email address? I could upload it in the newsletter and say, hey, look, I would love to start a chess program in your kid's school. You know, give me some information, you know, give me your email so you know, we could be in touch and I can send you information so your kids might learn for free as I send things in your school. Right. So one of my professors in college, Detlef Sudarov, was a big proponent on the whiffing factor. Right. It always has to be what's in it for them. Not, oh, let me refer you to let's let you refer me to your kid's school. It's no, your kids could actually learn chess for free if we start a program in your school, which is totally true. Right. Most public schools that we work in, you know, there is no charge. And if there is a charge, it's a lot cheaper, you know, per kid, you know, than, you know, working with us privately. So we've used MailChimp pretty consistently. I have looked at other solutions, but MailChimp has been pretty good for us. Value added content, right? Important for everything, but I would say newsletters in particular, to let your subscribes, you know, keep high. I share all of our podcast episodes and blog posts, you know, give specials for upcoming events. That's additional value. Right, every single week I have a promo code, you know, for our winter classes. Honestly, I laugh sometimes. People are always like asking for a promo code. They're like, ooh, I'm like, well, there was a different promo code every week in the newsletter, but guess what? It's value. And then I also have community announcements. So speaking of which, anyone ever has events that they want shared, do email me, you know, evan@premierchess.com. Always sharing other community events. You know, Annette, by the way, I've shared our artwork actually, you know, a couple of times in newsletters, you know, recently for, you know, holiday greetings, you know, which has been awesome. You know, Kara actually had a New Year's Eve. She's not here today, I don't believe, but she had a New Year's Eve, you know, dance party. You know, I shared that. So yeah, like any events you're doing, seminars, you know, let me know. And I want to say, before we were doing a weekly newsletter, now we're doing bi-weekly, twice a week. Again, as Joel said, as long as there's value, doesn't matter how much, right? And I was a little reluctant to do that, right? You don't want to be that nag with a bunch of newsletters, but we've been getting the highest open rates and lowest unsubscribe rates ever in the last few weeks, as we're doing 2 a week. Right? There's always value, right? The one that we sent out last night was about this presentation, right? Raise your hand if you're here today because of my newsletter last night. Right? Pretty cool, right? Actual value, right? Honestly, when you saw that last night, right? Did you see it as, oh my God, this is Premier Chess nagging you? Or did you see it as like, wow, this is actually value. I can learn about marketing tomorrow, right? Maybe a little bit of both, but probably mostly the latter. Which honestly, is, kind of the point, right? It really is win-win, right? You're all learning about marketing, and yeah, by the way, yeah, you also know about our winter classes now, right? It's win. So, okay, so next is the podcast. My friend Adam Schutte of Atomic Total Fitness inspired me to start it about a year ago now, and we're already at 122 episodes. It's helped us tremendously. Everyone on your podcast is someone to share it. As you could see here, it's a total mix of people. We had my good friend Matthew Harms, a ghostwriter, international master Jay Bonin, a very strong chess player that every chess player here certainly knows. And Michael Whitehouse, who's a business coach. Michael Whitehouse is actually doing a big conference, a virtual conference, February 21st, Conference 21. I am actually going to be one of the speakers, so definitely check it out, Conference 21. If someone could give me a favor, Audrey, maybe just quickly Google Conference 21 so you can put it in the chat. I'd appreciate it. Next thing, our Twitch channel. Terrell and myself and Steve and others have recently been on Twitch, primarily for video games, but actually now there's a bunch of chess players on it and actually a bunch of musicians on it. Everything. It's an easy resource, big way to build a community. Definitely check us out, twitch.tv/Premier Chess. As you can see here, this is a stream I did maybe about 2 months ago. On the left-hand side, I have our virtual camp. Obviously, since then, I changed that to our winter classes. But yeah, great way to build a community. We actually had a kid sign up from our camp from Norway. So yeah, a great way to build community. Let me know if you have any questions. Okay, so yeah, the last thing, Q&A and next steps. So
can I just ask Conference 21, is that what you said? I don't see anything with that.
Conference 21. I think it's actually just conference21.com. But anyway, if anyone has any questions, they could also email me and I'll be happy to share. So I'm actually going to do the questions last. I really should have put that as step number 5. But one, I've been very good in marketing by practice, but I truly don't see myself as an expert, even though I kind of am because I've done a lot of great work with it. So I actually want to recommend 3 people that have actually been on my podcast and are very, very good friends and colleagues of mine. One person who's here, Shiley, is really a great social media expert. Marty Katz is a branding specialist. If anyone needs help in terms of branding and messaging, Marty is your guy. He's actually helped me tremendously recently, talking not just about our chess services, but the problems we solve. We teach chess as a playground for employee and children development. And Rafi Salem, truly, I know a lot of SEO people and I know a lot of, PR people. Rafi is by far the best. Okay, we had a one-on-one a couple months ago when we met, and I was expecting just a typical, hey, how are you? This is my business. This is your business. But he gave me a whole rundown of my business. I've done a lot for him. Little bit of side notes. Yes, if anyone wants a complimentary child group class for you or your child, let us know. We started actually our winter session this week. We have 9 classes for kids, 4 for adults, and 1 for seniors. If you can, share it on social media. Share. It's huge. Which, by the way, is one other, quick point that I'll say, especially with people in the group, but other people as well. Any single time you see a post on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you name it, the easiest low-hanging fruit way that you could help is like and share it. Also, if we see people, like for instance, someone the other day was asking for a financial planner in a Riverdale Facebook group, right? The easiest thing I could do is, tag Audrey there, right? That I did. And in other groups too, so, and then if you see that, I post in a group, don't just like it, but actually comment, right? Because that's how you will get the most traction. And then, if anyone has any questions afterwards, feel free to email me at evan@premierchess.com or call me at 917-776-1306. But honestly, even better, I'm in and out of meetings all the time, like everyone else. So better even book a meeting, calendly.com/premierchess. Okay, so I know it took a long time, but does anyone have any questions? I hope this was useful.
Oh, it was great.
It was useful, but you didn't speak about scheduling and things like that and how it should look.
What do you mean in that by scheduling?
I can supplement if you like, because I have the people who've been here on before. I also do fine art, and I've been working really hard on the social media part of that. But I haven't provided that much value. But what I've been trying to focus on is scheduling and making things look consistent. And I think that's also very important when you're doing your, at least Instagram, Facebook, not as much.
Yeah, so.
And
yeah, that's a good point. By the way, I'm actually going to upload my presentation here as well, so you could take a look at it afterwards. I would either download it, straight to your computer now, or you could, afterwards save the Zoom chat so you could see it.
Hey, Evan, I have to leave. So, but that was a great presentation, and everyone, I saved the chat, so I'll try to email all of you so you'll have everyone's email.
Yeah, well, when you do that, I'll email the presentation to everyone.
Okay, that's great. Okay, nice to meet you all, and see you in a couple of weeks. Okay, take care.
Yeah, so if anyone has questions, I'm free until 11:30.
Yeah.
So I'm free to hang out.
Evan, if I could follow up on something that Net's been talking about, adding value. So when you obviously are a chess expert. So when you do a blog post and you talk about chess, you may be adding value. And a lot of us are experts in the field we work in, but we don't have wide expertise. And so what I find a lot of people happening is that they put a blog post and they add some value there, but then when they come to the next blog post, they're scrounging around to find something, and it's usually not something that's not already out there, written better. So how do you provide value that's original and new, that doesn't regurgitate what's already in the marketplace, so that you're not adding noise to the signal that's already out there?
Sure. Yeah. No, I have a couple ideas. For one, a lot of it is confidence and esteem, right? To be honest. You are, an expert in video production, right? I know nothing about it, right? So there's so much that that I would say, definitively no one else on this call knows, about video production. So anything that, you put, into the process, is huge. You could talk about, people. You could also interview people. That you work with, and also one of the things is too, right? You don't necessarily have to worry so much about it 100% relating to your business either. For instance, I wrote a post 2 weeks ago that actually got a lot of traffic, and it was about my non-chess coaches, right? So I actually talked about two of my rabbis on there, that I'm very, very close to. I spoke with about, my good friend, Mike Papapavlou, a guitar coach. My other good friend, Michael Deutsch, who's, a basketball coach and kind of informally my health coach. Right. So like by nature that have, so much to do with chess. At first glance, no. But at the same time, absolutely. Right? Because if you're going to improve in chess, well, you need to improve in confidence and esteem. Right? Every single chess coach here and others will, I think pretty quickly say that. Right. So like, your thing could be like, for instance, right. And I would actually love, by the way, blog posts from you, about Queen's Gambit. If you could look into like, the production, for instance. Which that really was one thing that I kind of forgot to mention because we were like also going over like if anyone does have ideas for guest blog posts for us, I'm definitely open to that. But also for your blogs, as well. So yeah, I mean, so don't be like, so glued to like, like what your business is. But then also look, once you write one post, I get a whole bunch of ideas for the next.
That's great. Is a newsletter the same? Can it be also a blog? Like I wrote a newsletter to my 150 subscribers last night, which took me like 3 hours.
Well, your newsletter is a nice format that basically says what you have going on. So I basically have a rough outline of it. Typically it'll be, like what's the latest, some sort of like, again, value add, like a new podcast episode. Then I'll have blog posts. Then I'll have.
But the blog post sits on your website, basically.
Yes, but you share it in your newsletter, right? Because blog post alone on its website, unless you have really good SEO, no one's gonna see it. Right. So every time I write a blog post, I do like several things. I share it on my personal Facebook. I share it on my personal LinkedIn. I put it on Instagram. I put it on, my upcoming newsletter. Et cetera.
Evan, I'd love to add to Ari's question, if I may.
Sure.
I uploaded an image in the chat, which hopefully folks will have access to. Which addresses.
You can't open. I'm sorry, Mike. You can't open it. I tried to open it. You can't open it.
You can't open it.
I was able to open it.
No. Okay.
Okay.
It should quick, like really lots.
Okay. It goes to like a system administrator file. I don't know why.
It should be a. Okay, I'll see what I can do for you. It should be a JPEG, so there shouldn't be a problem with it, but I'll explain it to you right now. It's very simple. It's an image that shows how you can create this content and how you can actually have this conversation. So Ari, specifically to your question in regards to always feeling like you need to add value or be some sort of expert on every single thing that you post, even if it's just related to your blog. The way that I break it down for the clients that I work with is a process of 3 Ps, right? Product, process, and personality. And product can be your product or service, whatever that is. And that is most likely the area in which you are an expert in. You're an expert in how you work in your product and service and with other people and the things that go into the fundamentals of your business. All of us here are experts in that field to varying degrees, right? But then there's the process and the personality. These are things, as Evan has already mentioned, that even sharing that content can be very valuable to your community. And it's because they get to see, like for process, for instance, they get to see the behind the scenes of how this stuff is actually done, what you're doing to bring value to your clients or to actually run your business, the things that go into play to actually make this wonderful impact in the world that you're out there doing. And then personality is something that I think can be extremely valuable, especially nowadays. People really like to know who is behind the business, right? What are your values? What do you actually care about? What is your everyday experience as a human being? Because people don't buy from nameless brands, they buy from people, right? People don't build relationships with shoes, they build relationships with people, right? They build relationships in that way, and that's what keeps them coming back. So those, breaking it down in that way, I've found to be very simple. It's an easy thing to remember when you're stuck in that moment of, what do I write about? What do I say? What do I share? If you can walk through product, process, or personality, there's going to be something in there that you can talk about. And then what you start to see is that there's actually content around you every single day inside of your business. And I think Evan is always a great example of this, that there's always something that he can talk about and share with his community. And the value of that in the long run is that you actually see what works better. As Evan has pointed out, he was surprised by seeing that talking about other coaches, right? Something that is not specifically about chess, talking about what other people are doing, actually got a fair amount of traction, right? So there's a fair amount of people that are interested in this conversation. On the marketing end of things, that's very valuable data, right? Now you know that there's a certain segment of your audience who's interested in a certain type of conversation, maybe at a certain time of year, maybe during certain times or whatever. That's valuable for you to know, because then you can share that type of conversation with those folks later on, and you're not always bombarding them with the same topic of, I'm an expert in XYZ.
No, I think that's a good point. I'm definitely going to use those, 3 Ps a lot myself. I just downloaded it, so I have it.
If I can
on LinkedIn later.
If I can add or continue from the non-expert marketing person, or something I don't do for a living, but I learned sort of like the 80-20 rule, but against my children's better wishes, I shared, my family, and, made me more of a, person, with a personality, and kind of like, a neighborhood guy, and, going out and supporting neighborhood businesses, and going out and supporting, local causes or things of that nature. And along what Ari said, it's not so much the content, I believe, or, what you said, what your message is. And I go back to like old school, advertising campaigns, on TV. Aflac had nothing to do with the product. I mean, but people remembered Aflac, and it just got brand awareness from just the repetitiveness and the annoyance of what it was, and it just became a catchphrase for human, urban advertising, and people remembered and started to say, what's Aflac, and so I think the same, kind of applies to online and social media. If you're just out there, and and I agree with Annette a little bit that it's not something that I really want to sit down and do every day, or post. And I've tried to do it, and there's a fine line for my thought process of what's annoying and what's relevant. And and a lot of the Riverdale groups, if you're ever part of those, it's just negative, and everyone's just commenting on the things that they are disliking. But it's my 2 cents.
So Mike, Robert, Evan, do you think being an expert is enough to overcome if you're not a natural educator? Because all of us on this call have something we know well beyond the ordinary person on the street. We're experts in that field. But does that make us educators and good enough to talk about it?
I think so.
Sophistication is more.
You just, again, right, it comes to like confidence a little bit. You just got to put something out there. And the other thing too is like, quite frankly, if you look at like a lot of our blog posts, recently, and I'd encourage you to do that, premierchess.com/blog. It's right on our website, which is actually something I spoke about before. Honestly, you'll probably find a bunch of typos in there, literally, right? Don't get me wrong. Like they're not like, high quality, writing. Some are better than others, but like, again, it like the content is more important. At the end of the day, like we're not a writing coach company, right? People aren't gonna like look at
Evan, you have so much depth to your product, chess, history, future, education, children, and all. There's so much you can talk about.
Okay, but I think I know what you're probably getting to.
Mine is like my personal, art is one thing, but mine is my personal art that I want to promote, right? And how much I'm not an expert on Van Gogh and all of that. I mean, I know a little bit of art history, but everybody, you know, you can get that anywhere. It's not something that I can talk about. And how much of my personal artwork can I throw at somebody?
Yeah. No. So, I mean, look, to be honest, no, and it's not about your work, right? It's not about your work. And by the way, actually, now that I think about it, I skipped one important slide maybe about our YouTube channel, which has also been pretty good.
Can you go over that?
Yeah, I mean, basically,
I might get everything.
yeah, I mean, we have a YouTube channel, and it's like some videos from our classes on there. Also, for Steve and Terrell, since I know both of you are on Twitch, there's actually an easy export from Twitch to YouTube. So some of my better streams, I'll just quickly export it onto there. If you don't know how to do that, you just go to Video Producer and export. I could show you as well.
We've got that. We've got that.
Yeah.
The thing I want to say, first of all, I want to say that this was a great presentation.
Yes,
I learned a tremendous amount. Okay, I wanted you to get that first.
Thank you.
Now, after saying that, okay, I want to know what is it that attracts people to a station or a blog post? Is it just totally random, or can it be programmed?
Well, the biggest thing again is I can't stress enough the 80-20 rule, right? For anything, right? Actual education, right? You need, like, people aren't going to come to just learn about your events, right? And I'm mostly talking about, like, new prospects, right? Like, yes, of course, Steve, right? You have your private students, right? And if you reach out to your private students, or I reach out to my private students and I'm like, hey, here's this tournament, they're going to look at it. They may or may not register, but they're going to look at it. Or you have this group class. Yeah, they're going to look at it, right? But the person that, I bought my coffee from this morning at Wawa, I'm in Orlando for the week, is not going to come to my Premier Chess page, just to, like, see my events, right? But if he's even remotely interested in chess or business or life, yeah, he's going to come to the Premier Chess blog, right? Because he knows that, guess what? He could learn things about financial planning from Audrey and chess. He could learn my 11 top book recommendations, right? And then, by the way, not only is that, right, especially with something like the 11 book recommendations, or a few weeks ago, actually, one of our instructors, Danilo Quellar, wrote a similar book, actually, about, like, the top 11 chess films, right? That's the kind of post that people will share, right? Not because they like Premier Chess, but it's because there's actual valuable content in there, right? So that's the biggest thing. You need things for any of your platforms that are, again, actual value, right? So, like, Annette, right? You mentioned that, yeah, like, you don't know that much about, like, Van Gogh, right? And you want to promote your personal art, but you're not. That's why it's the 80-20 rule, right? The 20% of your post, is going to be about your art, right? And your Instagram post about your art. But the 80% should actually be things that will get me to your page, not because I'm a fan, but because I actually want to learn. Right? So if I know
I get the concept, I just don't know what to say.
But yeah, you could write about Van Gogh, right? And Ari said, right, a lot of things have been out there, but yeah, there's a new spin. Right? Why don't you, Annette, like, here's a very simple post for you.
Yes,
what are your favorite paintings?
Oh, my favorite paintings.
Right? That'll take 20 minutes for you. I'm sure you have them right here. Right? Those books, I had them all up here. Yeah, I went back to myself to look. Right?
What got you started in your art? That's an easy one that I see people skip. Like, why did you ever get into it?
Art, right? That's another easy post. What's another good post?
Basically, like, I just had to do it. It was like some internal freaking need.
Yeah. And by the way, I mean, honestly, I can't think of any industry or business that can't think of good content. And by the way, feel free to schedule a one-on-one with me. I'm happy to, share. Right. Like, how did you start your business? Like Adia, for instance, right? You have it, like, obviously a bigger focus on women in chess, right? Like, how do we get more women in chess? Okay, that's a blog post right there. You know, which is, by the way, why I want you on my podcast. We need to revisit that, right? But, you know, and I had, you know, Jen Shahadi on it for a similar reason, and Susan Polgar for a similar reason.
I think also asking questions, like, you know, just asking, you know, like even in a group or asking your clients, you know, what would you like to hear more of? What would you like, you know, what, you know, putting it out there, you know, what topics are of interest, or, you know, focusing, you know, I've done that, you know, like, or do like a survey or something, or, you know, something that's in the, you know, in the news, or that's relevant, or something that relates to your business, or you think relates to your business, and just expanding upon it through, you know, again, I'll go back to it, you know, it's not always what you say, but that you're saying something, and people follow you, and people, you know, Instagram has always been like one of those things that's, you know, for a younger generation, and for my industry, you know, it's more the video or the pictures as opposed to the content. So using Facebook and Instagram together, which I've yet to do, but I think the combination gives a different platform to different, you know, different markets and different, you know, people you're looking to attract.
I think chess was a great, you know, general idea topic, because there's a lot of natural interest in chess, and communities can gather on that. What about things that don't have a natural interest? Like Mike, in your business, is there a natural community of people like just gathering around and interested in this and talking about it?
So it happens in trends, right? And I think Evan has addressed this earlier. Obviously, the Queen's Gambit is a trend of something that is in the zeitgeist, that is in the cultural conversation. Depending on, sometimes it might depend locally on where you are in the world, but overall, it's kind of an entertainment thing. It's in the cultural conversation, and it happens to relate to what it is that they're talking about. So you can piggyback on those things. I've mentioned this on content that I've put out in the past. I like to call it, it's not my own phrase, but it's something that I certainly think makes a lot of sense. It's called newsjacking. Newsjacking. And what does that really mean? That means that there's cultural conversations, there's large conversations that many people are engaged in, that is happening around the world, or that is happening in your local area, or that is happening in entertainment, that you might find a way to connect with and either put your own spin on it, as as we spoke to Annette about, where she could say like, hey, you know, a lot of people are talking about, you know, this is going back further, but like a lot of people are talking about what happened at the Notre Dame church fire and things like that, and the history we lost and blah, blah, blah. Here's my take on either that event, or here's why I think we're overlooking a lot of other history that has been lost, or blah, blah, blah. That might be something that she's passionate about. That might be something that she has a say in. That might be a perspective that she has. And what she's doing is she's picking up on something that other folks are talking about, and then finding a way to now jump into that conversation and add her own 2 cents. And that's entirely worthwhile. That's super valuable. And as Robert said, being part of the conversation is already a catalyst. You're already drawing attention by being part of the conversation. What's going to maintain that attention is if you have, as Evan has pointed out, value to add. So if you're just talking just to talk and you're not adding any value, then no one's going to stick around, right? You're gonna attract their attention, but you're not gonna maintain their attention. What you want to do is attract the attention of the people who are very aligned with the things that you do as a business, with the people that you want to attract. As I mentioned to Steve in the chat, talk to the folks that you're already working with. Who are your best clients? What do they care about, right? What are their fears, desires, passions? What do they like about working with you? What are their other interests? Yeah. Because those are the folks that are already paying you money.
And related to that, Mike, right? One thing that's important is don't think of your business as a niche. Okay, honestly, I correct people probably at least once a day when I'm networking. And then people are like, oh, you have such a great niche. Well, honestly, part of the reason I actually was like very open to other chess people coming today, right? And by the way, like I know a lot of people who would never do that. I'm just being very, very frank, right? Mm-hmm. Like on one hand, yes, Adia, Steve, Terrell, John, other James, right, or somewhat competitors. I don't view it as that at all. You know, I view all of them as very close partners. You know, Terrell's been on my podcast. Dia is soon, God willing, coming on. Dia, book a time on my calendar. Let's do it. I've had many other, quote unquote competitors, on there. But anyway, like but part of the reason is, right, it's like not as much of a niche as people think, right? And you don't want to think just about chess, but we want to think about the business and life lessons that we teach through the game, right? To all ages and skill levels. So just, like very different, aspects all the time. Not viewing your business as a niche, right? Like Mike's business, right? But also here's the thing, right? You're not necessarily trying to get the people that are like in your industry, right? Shyly, right? She would have almost no benefit if like a whole bunch of social media people started coming to her blog, right? She doesn't want people, other social media. I mean, not that they can't read it, but like that's not her goal, right?
No, it's not who I serve.
Right? No, it's not who she serves,
Agree.
right? She
No.
wants to attract like everyone else on this call, right? Mike, right? You don't want a whole bunch of other content people on, right? It wouldn't make sense.
Mike is
No, you want, just like Silent, businesses, right? So for me, it's a little bit different because, I mean, for instance, I do actually want to attract people like Adia and Terrell and everyone else to my blog. Why? Because we also run camps and tournaments, right? Quite frankly, Adia is not going to refer someone to us for private lessons, right? She does it herself. But will she refer kids to our camps? Well, she's done that. Has she brought kids to our tournaments? She's done that. Terrell, same thing. Steve, same thing. John, same thing. So
Not every person is right for everybody in every industry, right? So that's where you give referral partners. Everyone does different angles. Absolutely.
My biggest referral partner is my friend Shelby Lorman. I know probably the rest of the chess people here know, of American Chess Equipment. I just got him a $3,000 deal worth of equipment, 2 weeks ago. But he's also brought me a lot, as well. So, I mean, the point is, right, and that's what I said before too on the blog, varying up the content, right? My thing, that Sam Weiner wrote, about chess and title insurance. Right now I'm attracting real estate brokers, right? And by the way, like, and that's the other thing, right? Like, I mean, this is kind of like more of a marketing strategy type of conversation too, but you also got to expand the audience of who you're talking to always, right? Like for instance, I never in the beginning thought about talking to real estate brokers. Now I love talking about real estate brokers for like two reasons. One, they deal with a lot of families, right? Number two, well, there are actually these like high-end buildings in New York that actually run like programming for families and kids, right? You have relationships. And actually the third reason is, I got a really good referral the other day to like the manager of Compass in New York, right? We're likely going to do some corporate classes there soon, right? I actually, I got a referral from, like one of my good friends from my former BNI group. So, it's also expanding your audience and who you're talking to.
Steve, Terrell, Adia, so how do you guys extract value from meetings like this and networking? Because Evan has done a great job just illustrating some of the ways that he's able to promote his business through these type of things. What about you guys? How do you take advantage of this type of thing?
Okay, I'll just tell you how I do it. Well, right there, I take copious notes. Okay, and write down everything I find of value, and then I attempt to implement it. See, this thing, and we're talking about value added. This was definitely value added for me because I really don't have the problem producing content or producing other things. My issue is marketing. And so when Rabin did the marketing thing, and it's in my field too, I had to actually, because I respect him tremendously, I always have. And I knew that he did great marketing. I always admired his marketing. So I know practically nothing about marketing because I'm a content person. I usually just deal with content, but even though my content is of high quality, I get very little hits or things like that on it. I think I should, since the quality of my content is high, I think I should be doing a lot better as far as hits and knowledge and stuff like that. So this actually came in handy, and I got a good contact there with Mike. So I'm gonna get together with Mike and see what he has to say. Maybe have him do an evaluation for me and stuff like that. And so this has been a very valuable day to me. So I really appreciate this, Evan, and I'm gonna be promoting you a lot more. And I'm one of your fans now.
Well, I know that for sure. Yeah, Ernie, you've been, obviously a very good friend for many years. So, I really appreciate your support. And yeah, look, I'm very glad to help. So yeah.
So I just wanted to add, Evan, that if people want to know about Later, which I've been using, I think that's a great tool for scheduling your posts.
Yeah, I've never used that. Business Suite is actually free and integrated with Facebook, and you could schedule.
Oh, no, right.
Instagram posts there.
It is. I use Business Suite for Facebook, and I use Later for Instagram.
Well, Business Suite, you could also schedule Instagram posts together.
Are you talking about Business Suite or Creator Studio?
So they actually recently rebranded Creator Studio into Business Suite.
Oh.
Like a few weeks ago.
Sherelle, were you gonna add on?
Maybe a few months ago.
Oh, okay.
So I want to check it out because paying later something.
All right, so I was in computer networking, but and this is how I'm on this big thing where everything is related, information and sharing information. So during the whole COVID thing, Steve and I, we started meeting with each other because he wanted to push his chess program, which was really great because we were all into chess. And Steve has created a lot of content. And I was like, man, Steve got to get himself out there. But he, respectfully speaking, he likes to master things. One thing, I like to be all over the place, doing a bunch of things. And we started a morning group. We expanded our group and we invited one of our friends here, that's James Hunter, that's also used to be computer programming. And the thing is, there's so much information out there and information is constantly changing. And everybody's, like you guys already said in the meeting, an expert at something. And we can all learn from each other. So I started this morning group and I even invited Adia, she was a part of it as well. And, we're all learning from each other, different angles and sharing information with each other and further together, like what you guys also said about if you see someone's post, share it, because now you have this community and you guys keep building momentum on each other, So I'm all about that. And all this information is related and marketing. I come in this group now and I see even more experts at Facebook and Instagram, and how to do the marketing thing even better. And in real estate.
And by the way, I didn't focus on it so much because this is a networking group and I'm more focused on the digital marketing front. But yeah, I mean, honestly, for the chess people, I'm actually talking mostly to you, to be frank. Look, when I go to networking events like this and part of a couple other networking groups as well, very, very often I hear, oh, chess is an industry? I didn't know that. Right? Which frankly means look, I know for a fact, and I'm just, it's true, right? I am the only chess company that I know out there that is actually part of these business networking groups.
Yeah.
And look, I would change that. I really would. Because look, in essence, I'm more than happy to be the only one going to networking groups.
Well, that's also the next thing. I like the fact that you're even more open, because that's the idea. The more open you are, the more people the bigger your momentum can be of each other, helping that momentum of sharing each other's blog posts, share a clip from Twitch, for instance, to get the information out there,
No, look, we're all a team, right? We're all an extension of our sales teams, right? That's what we are, essentially. right? Like I know, right, when anyone needs social media, I bring them to Charlie. When anyone needs graphic design, I bring them to Annette. You know, if people need, you know, real estate in Riverdale, Robert, you know, moving on. Like there's
I got, sorry, I got to run. Evan, thank you. And I'm glad you're part of this business networking group. You've been very helpful and very informative. And it was a great presentation. And I look forward to hearing more. And the folks that came as visitors, please come again. And thank you for coming. And everyone be safe. Thank you.
So we meet every 2 weeks, by the way. On,
okay.
Wednesdays
Awesome.
at 9 a.m.
Bye, Robert. Nice to meet you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Oh,
Adi, you've been really quiet. Did you have something you wanted to add?
Well, I don't have too much to add to it, but you know, I definitely think marketing, to me, you know, you asked about the value added, but to me, marketing is pivotal for any industry that you're in. So I don't see, you know, when I started in graduate school, you know, I studied for child clinical psychology, a doctorate in child clinical psychology. And one of the first things my mentor said was emphasizing the fact that if he could, you know, the importance of marketing and business. And this wasn't talking about chess. This was talking about psychology. This was talking about in terms of business, in terms of with the fact of the value of understanding business with any field that you do. And so, you know, I definitely, when I saw the opportunity to participate in something of this nature having to do with marketing, you know, I had to hop on it right away because it's an area that just because you have a knowledge and interest in chess, art, or whatever else, it doesn't mean you have an understanding of marketing or business. And so to be able to hone your skills and increase your knowledge and improve yourself in these areas just makes you more well-rounded and better able to kind of thrive and present yourself in this world. So, you know, I tell you, my nephew is currently in undergrad, second year, and he's taking marketing, just finished a marketing class. And you know, I let him know that, okay, now I need you to sit down here and teach me everything you learned this semester. And, you know, he's laughing and everything, but, you know, I said, yeah, this is valuable knowledge that you have. And so,
but you know, look, by the way, you know, I was a business major in school. I focused in marketing. I actually took a lot of MBA classes in marketing. I got an A in undergrad marketing with my good dear friend and mentor, Grace Zimmerman, who is actually on the unofficial board of Premier Chess because she advises me like every 2 weeks. You know, but like most of what I taught today did not come from Grace, you know, who taught me all like my official marketing. You know, most of it has been the last 2 years running the business, of course. So
best experience, hands-on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Adia, I want to see a painting behind you.
Oh, okay. Let me move out of the way. It is a virtual painting, though. I cannot lie. I've gotten a lot of compliments about it, though.
Yeah. It's virtual.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I you know.
Okay.
But I loved it. Cool. It is what caught my eye to make me you know, pick this background.
Is it a random background or
your own painting a virtual background, and you will have it on every single meeting, and someone will ask, what is that work of art that is behind you? And you'll say, oh, it's mine.
What a great idea, Mike.
Well, this is not virtual, this is actual.
Yes.
Yes, there you go. Yes.
There.
Love
now
it.
You can see that. Lovely.
But I will say I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed not just, you know, hearing from Evan and you sharing just your wealth of knowledge. You've always been really good with that, you know, since I've known you. And, you know, and it also has been nice, you know, hearing from everybody else and you introducing, you know, different people, experts in the field of different areas and branding and marketing and all of this, because I think these are resources that all of us you know, are interested in. So Thank you.
Yeah, and
Nice
if
to
anyone
meet you.
wants, introductions to those people, I'm more than happy to do so. So,
Mhm.
all right. Well, thank you, everyone. I'm, really glad you enjoyed it. Be in touch
As
with
always,
me afterwards.
amazing. Sorry that I was
And,
late.
I hope it was, of value to everyone.
Yeah, thanks, Evan.
Thanks,
I
Evan.
mean,
Thanks.
we're going on until like an hour later, so I guess it was like
Well,
somewhat value.
there were just so many interesting people to meet here. I think like after the presentation, we all got to actually get to know each other and talk and have dialogue. So that for me, that was incredibly valuable.
This was awesome, and I definitely learned, and I think Annette basically got a business plan in terms of marketing, which is great. So, all right, well, I'll talk to you all soon. Have a great rest
Bye,
of your day.
everybody.
Steve, you're muted if you were saying.
Bye.
All right, take
Take
care, guys.
care.
Nice meeting you all.